Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I hope all of you are doing good. This is the weekly market update live stream. And if you are new to my channel, please make sure to subscribe to it. If you have not liked the live stream yet, please make sure to do it right now. If you're not following me over Twitter, 𝗟𝘍𝗶𝗵𝗵, this is my Twitter handle. Please make sure that you are following this handle because I occasionally share market updates and calls over my Twitter account as well. And if you would like to receive more organized updates and calls, you can always join in the Discord server. The link you can find in the description of this video. This is going to be a very important live stream, so I would recommend that you watch this till the end because we are not just going to talk about the charts because we have FOMC tomorrow, one of the most important event. So yeah, we are going to talk about that part as well. And I already have the question in the chat box saying that uh, is Fed going to bang us tomorrow? I don't really think anything of that sort is going to happen. I mean, uh, everything is already priced in. But yeah, there is definitely going to be volatility, and I would explain to you what exactly to look for. First of all, for those of you who don't know, we have the next FOMC meeting in 1 day and 4 hours. And uh, you can check this on Forex Factory website also. You can see that as per the UK time at 7 p.m., the decision about the new federal funds rate will be announced, and 30 minutes after that, we have FOMC press conference. It's 7 p.m. as per UK time. If you would open up this website, um, you know, if you would open up this website, it would automatically show you the time as per your time zone. But as per the UK time, it's going to be at 7 p.m. and at 7:30 p.m., 30 minutes after the decision is announced, it's going to be, it's going to be the FOMC press conference. Okay, so first of all, let's take a look at what exactly the projection is, what exactly the probability is telling us. Let me just refresh this page real quick. Okay, so you can see that the current rate is at 425 to 450 basis point, and there is 96% probability, and almost everyone already knows this thing. And I've said this, in some of my previous live streams also, that this probability is almost always true. So it's not like, the probability is for 25 basis point rate cut and tomorrow it's going to be no rate cuts. No, the probability is almost always true. 99.9% chances are that this is going to be the outcome, but I would tell you exactly what you have to look for. So you can see that the current rate is 425 to 450 basis point. You can say the current range is 4.25% to 4.50%, and there is 0% probability as of now that this rate or this range would still remain the same tomorrow. Which is definitely a bullish thing. And you can see that 400 to 425, meaning the new range, 4% to 4.25%, the probability is for 96% as of now. Just a day ago, the probability was at 95%. 1 week ago, the probability was 93%. 1 month ago, the probability was 85.4%. And just like I explained to you, this probability is almost always true, which means that in terms of rate cuts, nothing really is going to be a surprise. The only thing which could be a surprising moment for the market is going to be 25 basis point or 50 basis point. In fact, this is a real question, that is it going to be a 25 basis point rate cut, or is it going to be a 50 basis point rate cut? Now, I assume that the probability is it's going to be a 25 basis point rate cut. It's not like, the 55 basis point rate cut has no probability, but, the probability is slightly low in comparison to 25 basis point rate cut. And we all know that rate cuts, they are extremely bullish for the market. The last rate cut we had was in December 2024. This is going to be the first rate cut for 2025. And the first rate cuts we had in the past 4 years was in September 2024. And if I remember correctly, at that time, Bitcoin was trading somewhere around 61,000, 62,000. And soon after the rate cuts were announced, we had this immediate pump from 60,000, 61,000, all the way up to 66,000. And then soon after the elections, everything started rallying. So, if you are a beginner, if you have no knowledge of this, then rate cuts, they're definitely bullish for the risk assets. It's a bearish thing for dollar, but it's a bullish thing for the risk assets. And if there are no rate cuts, then definitely it's a bearish thing for the risk assets, and it's a bullish thing for dollar. I'm not going to get into more details on that, but this is something you have to look for. The first thing, that is it going to be a 25 basis point rate cut, or is it going to be a 50 basis point rate cut? If it's going to be a 25 basis point rate cut, then definitely it's very much already priced in. But if it's a 50 basis point rate cut, then definitely it's going to be a surprise for the market, which could be more bullish in comparison to 25 basis point rate cut, which is already priced in once again. Almost all of us already know that, this probability is almost always true. 25 basis point rate cut is what we are expecting. But the most important thing you have to look for, the first question, is it going to be a 50 basis point rate cut, or is it going to be a 25 basis point rate cut? And the second most important thing is dot plot. Now, if you are someone who regularly watches these live streams, you would know that I'm always talking about the dot plot part whenever there is any event related to FOMC, related to decision about interest rates. I'm always mentioning this example. I'm always talking about this example from December 2024, when second rate cuts were announced, right? The first one was in September 2024, and the second one was in December 2024. And at that time, if I remember correctly, Bitcoin was trading somewhere around maybe 103,000, or maybe somewhere around 98, 99,000. And then soon after that decision, we had an immediate dump from 98,000. Let's just say that it was 98,000, from 98,000 all the way down to 91,000, 92,000. Now, people usually always follow the headline. Okay, rate cuts were announced. Okay, this is a bullish thing for the market. Let's go. Let's have a 100x long position open. But that's not how exactly things work. People did not even bother to look at the dot plot. So dot plot basically is telling you about the future rate cut predictions, or about the future projections of what exactly the interest rate is going to be, the future projections of members. And at that time, if I remember correctly, in September 2024, the dot plot was showing you that the members are expecting 4 rate cuts for the year 2025, right? And then in December 2024, the probability was reduced, or the projections were reduced from 4 rate cuts down to 2 rate cuts. And this is exactly why in 2025, and this is exactly why soon after the decision was announced, although it was still rate cuts, although decision was still about rate cuts, but still market had a huge dump. Bitcoin, being a risk asset, had a huge dump from 98, 99,000 all the way down to 91,000. And people were wondering at that time, people were confused at that time what exactly is happening. But this is exactly what happened. So the dot plot, that in my opinion is the second most important thing. And if I remember correctly, the last FOMC was in June 2025, right? And at that time, the dot plot still said the same thing, that the members of Federal Open Market Committee, they were still expecting 2 rate cuts for the year 2025. Okay, back in June 2025, they were still expecting 2 rate cuts. But let's see how exactly this dot plot evolves. And that, in my opinion, is going to be the second most important thing. If they're still expecting 2 rate cuts, then definitely it's going to be a 25 basis point rate cut in this FOMC, and then it's going to be a 25 basis point rate cut in the next FOMC meeting. But if they are expecting 3 rate cuts, and I was looking in the news, some analysts have said that it's a possibility that the projections are going to evolve from, the dot plot is going to evolve from 2 rate cuts to 3 rate cuts, which is definitely going to be more bullish for the overall market. So 2 things you have to look for. The first thing you have to look for is 25 basis point versus 50 basis point, which would immediately be visible to you as soon as the decision is announced at 7 p.m. as per the UK time. And the second thing you have to look for is the changes in the dot plot. Is the dot plot still the same? Are the members of Federal Open Market Committee still expecting 2 rate cuts for year 2025, or are they expecting 3 rate cuts? If 3 rate cuts, then that's definitely going to be bullish for the overall market. If 2 rate cuts, if the projections still remain the same, then that is very much already priced in, because back in June 2024 also it was still 2 rate cuts. Back in December 2024 also it was still 2 rate cuts that they were projecting for the year 2025. And by the way, they give their projections for the next years also, for the year 2026 as well, for the year 2027 and 2028 also. But that, in my opinion, is a slightly irrelevant thing. All you have to do is just to look for the year 2025, that what exactly these members are expecting, what exactly they are expecting in terms of decision on rate cuts in the next months, in the next quarters for the year 2025. And the last important thing you have to obviously look for is the press conference. The tone during the press conference, is it a dovish tone? Is it a hawkish tone? And that is not, I'm not an expert in behavioral psychology, so that is why this is not something which I'm going to pay attention at. But still, you have to watch that press conference. You have to look for the tone during the press conference. Any statement made during that press conference are going to be really, really important, because just to take you guys a few weeks back, this huge bullish candle did happen from 112,000. If you guys remember, we had a long position open on 22nd of August 2020, 2025, and Bitcoin made this huge candle from 112,000 all the way up to almost 117.5k just in a matter of 24 hours. And this was because there was a shift on the policy. During that speech by Powell, he mentioned that they're expecting, or they are projecting, a shift in policy in the next FOMC, and that is how Bitcoin had a huge move from 112,000 all the way up to 117.5k. So this is just to give you an idea that statements made during that press conference are going to be really, really important. But once again, I'm not an expert in that field, so that is why I'm not going to pay any attention to that. Okay. So these three things you have to look for. I would repeat that once again: 25 basis point versus 50 basis point rate cut decision. The second thing is dot plot, and the third thing is press conference. All these three things will tell you what exactly is going to happen with Bitcoin. And instead of asking questions, from random people as to what exactly is going to happen, you can basically make projections. You can basically anticipate this on your own. Okay, so that's it about the FOMC tomorrow. Now let's take a look at the charts, because this is what our main expertise lies in. And we'll take a look at these charts, and I would explain to you what exactly is happening in terms of chart, or what exactly you have to expect in terms of price action in the next few hours. So first of all, Bitcoin right now is trading at 115,000. We are still trading under this resistance level. This is the first retest of resistance. And if you guys remember, during the past few weeks, I already have mentioned this thing, that there is going to be some sort of rejection at 115,000, 115.5k level, which is once again very obvious, because we had a big deviation above this resistance level. We all know the role of deviation already. We all already know that when this huge candle happened back on 22nd of August 2025, people thought as if the rate cuts are happening tomorrow. And that is why, we had this huge candle from 112,000 all the way up to 117,000. And I'm damn sure that a lot many of these positions, a lot many of these long positions were already stuck at this level, at 117,000, at 116,000. And that is how this deviation got formed. And whenever price, we know that whenever price would go back up to give the deviation retest, that is when these people, they would try to bail out of their positions. That is when these people, they would try to close their positions, break even, or even in small loss. And that is why you would see some sort of rejection, some sort of downside move from this resistance level, because we know that whenever the long positions are being closed, selling takes place. Whenever short positions are being closed, buying takes place. I'm not going to get into more details on that, because this is something which we have discussed extensively during the past few live streams. So in this case, you can see that the rejection here was very much expected. And on top of that, if I take a look at the stablecoin dominance chart also, you can see that stablecoin dominance gave the first retest at this higher time frame support. There was also a deviation below this higher time frame support level on stablecoin dominance chart, and as a result, you can see that this was also a deviation retest of support, because this is negatively or inversely correlated chart with Bitcoin. So this was giving a deviation retest at support, and Bitcoin was giving a deviation retest at resistance. And for that reason, you can see that both of these charts, they were perfectly correlated with each other. We did not open any short position. The reason is very obvious, because going into FOMC and knowing that rate cuts are definitely happening, at least I wouldn't really want to have any short position open. Now, I have been seeing a lot many people say this thing, that because the event is already priced in, because the rate cut decision is already priced in, so there is definitely going to be a dump soon after that decision is made, right? I do not agree with this statement, because even though the decision is already priced in, the decision is almost always priced in. What is not priced in is the dot plot. What is not priced in is the decision about 25 basis point versus 50 basis point rate cut. What is not priced in is that press conference. The statements made during that press conference are going to be really, really important in my opinion. So these things, they are not priced in, and for that reason, I do not think that there is going to be an immediate dump soon after that decision is announced. And on top of that, you know, uh, this kind of price action just before FOMC is very common, and that is why I would not recommend trading this price action. I would not recommend trading right now. And if you still would like to have at least one position open, then I would still prefer to have a long position open. My advice would be to, instead of having a short position open, you can still go with a long position, right? Although, even though, including Bitcoin, including others.d, and few other indices that are directly related to Bitcoin or altcoins, they are all trading at strong resistance levels, except for total 2, which is basically something related to Ethereum. All of these charts, they are still trading at resistance, and for that reason you need to be slightly cautious. You need not to take any extra risk just before FOMC. But if you still wish to have at least one position open, then I would recommend you have a long position open. I would recommend you keep a long position open. So let's just go back to the stablecoin dominance chart. First of all, we already understood this thing that there is a deviation above this resistance level, and this is the deviation retest, which means that this rejection was very much expected. I was traveling back on Friday, and I shared this update, on Friday morning also, that please expect a rejection at 116,000, 115,000, but that does not mean that this rejection is going to be a huge one. And I would explain to you why exactly. Because price already has given a candle close, a daily candle close above 1 day quarterly VWAP. Now, what you need to do is just go and watch some of my previous live streams in which I explained in detail the importance of 1 day quarterly VWAP. If you would like to have access to this indicator, if you would like to have access to the script of this indicator, all you have to do is simply just click the link in the description of this video, join the Discord server, open up a support ticket, and you can have access to this indicator free. All right. And by the way, 70 plus people are watching the live stream. Only 23 of you have liked it. I would really appreciate if all of you would simply just subscribe to the YouTube channel and like this live stream. So I was talking about 1 day quarterly VWAP. You can see how basically price reacts to this level. We have a breakout above this level, we have retest of these levels, and then we had a break below this level. Price came back up, gave a bearish retest, and it was a major rejection. Then price came back up once again. This was a breakout, another easy long trade, and then price had a huge move towards upside. Even on Friday also, while I was traveling, I did mention that we have a candle close above this quarterly VWAP, which is an easy long trade, although price is still trading at resistance, but that was an easy long trade from 113.8k all the way up to at least 116.6k. And remember that the first retest of this quarterly VWAP has not happened. Even on 22nd of August 2025, during that conference, Jackson Hole conference, while price was constantly bleeding, while price on the Bitcoin chart was constantly moving down, and most people, they were already bearish at that time, we still kept that long position open. Reason was 1 day quarterly VWAP, because I was pointing this out over and over again that this is the first retest of quarterly VWAP. Even if it's a small reaction, it still is going to be you can still expect a reaction at 1 day quarterly VWAP, even if it's a very small reaction, right? And this is exactly what we saw happen. 1 day quarterly VWAP gave the first retest, 112,000. We did not care about what Powell was about to say. We did not care about the decision, the statements during that conference. We simply just relied on our understanding of 1 day quarterly VWAP. We simply just relied on the fact that this is the first retest of 1 day quarterly VWAP, and that this is exactly why we should be taking a long position. So same is the case here. This is going to be the first retest of 1 day quarterly VWAP if it happens, because remember that 1 day quarterly VWAP right now is trading at 113.8k, and price right now is at 114.9k. There is still $1,000 difference between these two levels. So if this retest happens, and I would give you an alternate point of view as well, from stablecoin dominance chart, because in my opinion, even a few members in my Discord server dropped this question a few hours ago, that should we simply just take a long position on Bitcoin? My answer was obviously no, because in my opinion, stablecoin dominance has not perfectly retested this resistance level. And by the way, remember that while Bitcoin is trading above 1 day quarterly VWAP, at the same time, stablecoin dominance also is trading above 1 day quarterly VWAP. Okay, because we do not have enough data on this chart, TradingView for some reason decided to simply just remove all of this data, and this is exactly why 1 day quarterly VWAP has just started forming, and this is where 1 day quarterly VWAP is on the stablecoin dominance chart at 7.52%, and this is exactly why price also had a bounce. But I was more focused on this higher time frame support. You can see that there were two equal lows as well. No matter which perspective you are looking at it, no matter which perspective you're looking at this chart from, it was still telling you that there is going to be a bounce at this level, because this is higher time frame support. First of all, this is the first retest of the support. Then there was a deviation below this higher time frame support. We know that deviation retest is a very powerful concept. Then at the same time, we had 1 day quarterly VWAP, and then at the same time, we had two equal lows on the daily time frame chart. And once again, remember that it's a simple man theory. You would see the equal lows, you would take a long position. You would see the equal highs, you would take a short position. It's as simple as that. So in my opinion, you can see that price made a perfect reversal signal somewhere around here in terms of support, in terms of 1 day quarterly VWAP, in terms of deviation retest, and finally in terms of these two equal lows as well. And now it's giving the first retest, or it is about to give the first retest at this higher time frame resistance on stablecoin dominance chart. And this is exactly why I'm hopeful that, in my opinion, the first retest has not happened, although price wicked all the way up to the highest point was 7.73%. But in my opinion, a retest of this sort is still pending. And let's hope that we get to see that retest in the next 24 hours during the volatility of FOMC. We get to see this wick all the way up to 7.75%. And that is where we are going to take a long position on Bitcoin. And my anticipation is that while stablecoin dominance will give the first retest at this higher time frame resistance, and we know that first retest is always your single best opportunity to take a long or a short. That is when Bitcoin would also give a wick down to this 1 day quarterly VWAP, which is going to be somewhere around 114,000 in the next 24 hours. And Bitcoin has already gone down to 114.2K, 114.3K, which means that it's not something which is difficult. It's not something which is impossible to happen. A wick down to 113.8K, a wick down to 114,000 is very much possible. And if you are looking to take a long position, this is where you have to do. You can simply just rely on the retest of this resistance on stablecoin dominance. You can see that I already have an alert set, or you can simply just rely on the retest of this 1 day quarterly VWAP. Let's create an alert around here, 114,000, and this is exactly where we will be taking a long position on Bitcoin. Apart from that, we can already see there is this bullish consolidation happening right under this resistance level, which makes me believe that, most likely almost 70% chances are that, soon after the decision about rate cuts, there is definitely going to be a break above this resistance, until and unless we see something surprising tomorrow. And by surprising, I mean to say, not exactly in terms of rate cut decisions, but in terms of the dot plot. Meaning, if the tone of Fed is more hawkish, first of all, or if the future projections change from 2 rate cuts only to 1 rate cut, which would have already happened tomorrow, then definitely market is going to react negatively. Then you can definitely expect a dump. Apart from that, I don't honestly see any reason why exactly Bitcoin would be going down tomorrow soon after the decision is announced. Obviously, back in September 2024, also that was a big thing at that time. Rate cuts were announced first time after 4 years. At that time also, Bitcoin had a move from 61,000 up to 66,000, but then later on all of that volatility died down, and slowly after 2 months price made this huge move, right? So things did not start picking up immediately. We had this small initial move from 61,000 to 66,000, but that did not make price break above this higher time frame resistances, or did not make price break above the all-time high, which at that time was at 73,000, if I remember correctly. But the point is that this bullish consolidation under resistance on the daily time frame chart is something which is bullish in my opinion. But once again, this reduced volatility is mainly because of FOMC. This kind of price action before FOMC is very common, and usually before FOMC people are de-risking, and that is exactly why you would see some small sell-off or things like that. And in my opinion, nothing really has happened during the past 48 hours or so. Bitcoin has just continued to trade in the very same range, which means that if you are building a position right now, it's not an ideal situation. What you would wait for ideally is to have a complete daily candle close above 116.5k, which in my opinion is going to be a really, really bullish thing, right? Apart from that, if during the volatility you get a wick down to 113.7k, or right exactly at, by the way, you can set an alert on 1 day quarterly VWAP also. You can go to the alerts option, then you can select MP VWAP. This is the name of the indicator, and then you can select the condition as price cross quarterly VWAP, same as chart 1 day interval, and once, only once, or once per bar, or only once per bar close, or once per minute. Okay, you can simply just research into this. Only once means that if price crosses this level, then that alert would be triggered, and it would be triggered only once. Once per bar means that every time price tries to every time price tries to cross this dynamic level in the same bar in the same day, which is 24 hours. So that is when the alert would be triggered. Once per bar close means that after the bar is closed, that is when, after the candle is closed, that is when the alert would be triggered. Once per minute means that after every 1 minute the alert would be triggered. Normally I'm always looking at these charts, I'm usually not going anywhere, so I simply just set the alert at only once. So whenever price would cross this dynamic level, that is when the alert would be triggered. All right, and that is going to be a very good long opportunity in my opinion. Overall, I'm still hopeful that sooner or later Bitcoin would go all the way up to 123 124.5k and create a new all-time high. This is something that I was explaining to my students also. If you would start mapping the market structure of Bitcoin, in fact we did this during the last class we had on, I guess 24 hours ago. Yeah, so the last class I had with my mentorship students, it was 24 hours ago, in which we mapped the market structure of Bitcoin starting from 22nd of January 2024. It was a very interesting lecture in which we noted that Bitcoin has constantly been moving in an uptrend. On the daily time frame chart, we had a very good long opportunity on Bitcoin somewhere around here. This was the first long opportunity because this was your breakout structure. This was major swing high. This was major swing low. This was a very good long opportunity. Then the second long opportunity happened when Bitcoin had a sweep below this low. This was a liquidity sweep. That was another very good long opportunity. Then another long opportunity was when Bitcoin retested. You can draw it in the form of fib levels also. You can do this in the form of the fair value gap, an order block, which was followed by fair value gap. That was another very good long opportunity. And you can see that you could have longed Bitcoin from 56,000 all the way up to 72,000, then from 50,000 all the way up to 107,000, then once again from 75,000 all the way up to 125,000. And finally you can see that as per the rules of market structure, this is our last break of structure. This was simply just a major swing high. By the way, this is your major swing high, right? And that was another very good short position. You can call it the swing failure pattern. You can call it a liquidity sweep above the major swing high or below the major swing low. I'm not going to get into the details of that because market structure mapping is a slightly complex topic. We covered this in mentorship in 6 lectures, and by the way, 60 plus hours of training has already been completed in my mentorship. If you would like to join the mentorship program, you can simply just click the link in the description of this video and you can join the live classes. You can have access to all of the previous recordings on our website. You would be given access to 60 plus hours of training videos, and our goal is to record 300 hours plus of content, which would be available for all of you if you join the mentorship program for lifetime. Any new courses will also be available to you for lifetime. If you wish to join the mentorship program, please click the link in the description of this video, join the Discord server, open up a support ticket and request all the details and they would be shared with you. Finally, the thing that I'm trying to explain to you is that if you start mapping the market structure of Bitcoin, you would notice that this is your last major swing low and this is your last major swing high, which means that as per the laws of market structure, as per the rules of market structure, you would simply just draw the fib level from the start of impulsive wave to the end of impulsive wave, and you can see that price perfectly retested the 61.8%, 65% fib level, and normally this is where we take or build a long position. I have still placed my limits at 70.5% until and unless price gives a break and close above this major swing high. This whole thing, anything that's happening between major swing low and major swing high is simply just internal structure. So major swing low and major swing high, these 2 points, these two levels basically act as the external structural points. Anything that's happening inside these two external structural points is simply just internal structure, and we usually do not pay attention to internal structure until and unless we are looking to trade 65% or 70.5% fib level. And in this case, 65% reaction has already happened. So until and unless price gives a break and close above this high, above 124.5k, this whole thing is already valid, and we can still expect price to go back down to 70.5%. I'm not saying that price would definitely go back down to 70.5%. I would have said this if price had already given the retest at 61.8% and not at 65%. Because when the reaction happens at 61.8%, we say that the actual reaction will always happen at 65% or 70.5%, not at 61.8%, because 61.8% reaction is a weak reaction, is not an actual reaction. But in this case, since the reaction has already happened at 65%, then I cannot really say if it's going to be, I cannot really say with 100%, certainty that the limits at 70.5% are going to be filled or not. Okay, we can still expect that price would go back down to 70.5%, but the chances are only, I would say, 25 to 30%. 70% chances are that price would just continue with the same momentum and it would just go on to create a new all-time high, because this is the same exact pattern that we have been seeing since 2024. This is exactly how an uptrend works. Price would just continue to create the new highs. Price would just continue to give you new breakout structures: impulsive wave, corrective wave, impulsive wave, corrective wave, impulsive wave, corrective wave, and impulsive wave, right? Just because price is trading somewhere around here, you cannot say that it would just break below the previous low or something like that. If price gives a bounce at 65%, 70.5%, you would always expect the price to break above the previous major swing high and then create a new all-time high. So anyone telling you that price is going down to 90,000, 80,000, 70,000, 65,000, 100,000, 105,000, just show them this chart, just draw the market structure and tell them that major swing low is at 98.2k. Okay, only if price gives a daily candle close below 98.2k, only then the daily market structure of Bitcoin is going to shift. Only then the market structure is going to shift from being bullish to bearish. Until then, even if price goes back down to 100,000, we would still say that price is perfectly bullish. Even in some of the previous situations, we have seen that price gave a wick below the major swing low, something that we refer to as a swing failure pattern, something that we refer to as a liquidity sweep below the major swing low, which in fact is a very, very good long opportunity. I just showed you an example for this. In this situation, price did not give a break and close below the previous low. Okay, if price had given a daily candle close below 50,000 back on 6th of August 2024, then the whole market structure of Bitcoin had already shifted from being bullish to being bearish. But this is the beauty of these markets, that if you're following the rules, if you're doing things correctly, then it's not like market would get you into a situation where the rules are not being followed, right? It's not something which is very common. And in this situation, you can see that the candle close below 50,400 was a condition that the structure will be shifted. But instead of having a candle close, price only gave a liquidity sweep, price only gave a swing failure pattern. And soon after that, this was at the close, this was a very good long opportunity from 53,000 all the way up to the new all-time high at 111,000, or any new all-time highs. So this is the update from the Bitcoin chart. In terms of stablecoin dominance, it's a very, very simple range. I'm still waiting for stablecoin dominance. You can see that I already have the alert set. I'm still waiting for stablecoin dominance to give a retest at this resistance level. If the reclaim of this resistance happens, that is a totally different story. This is not something which I'm expecting immediately, I'll be honest with you, because this will mean that Bitcoin will fail to react at 1 day quarterly VWAP, which is present somewhere around 113.8k. And considering that it's going to be the first retest of 113.8k, which is also the position of one day quarterly VWAP, I don't really think it's going to fail, because I have not really seen any major instances in which the first retest of one day quarterly VWAP failed. So my anticipation is that, in the next few hours or in the next 24 hours or so, you would see a wick all the way up to into this resistance level. It could be a wick in, towards 7.84%, also 7.79%, because this is complete resistance range. And soon after that you will see a move all the way down to 7.4%, which means that from 113.8k all the way up to at least 117,000, 118,000. And if you look at the fib levels, then obviously you will expect price to create a new all-time high, right? Now let's talk about some other charts also. First of all, Bitcoin is trading under resistance level. Same is the case with others.d. Same is the case with others BTC as well. The chart of others dominance against Bitcoin. So this is exactly why, even though Bitcoin is looking bullish, even though we are long-term bullish on Bitcoin, you still need to be slightly cautious with altcoins. I would first of all show you the chart for others.d. Very simple chart. You can see that the last time it had a break above this level, then gave the first retest, then went all the way up to this level, 8.76%. Then another successful retest happened. On the 4-hour time frame chart, it would be more clear to you how exactly this was happening. The first retest went all the way up to resistance level, then the second retest happened, price bounced slightly from here, and then we had a break below this level, then price came back up, the first retest happened, the second retest happened. So others.d is one of my favorite charts. It's very simple chart. All you have to do is just draw this range and follow these lines, right? And in this case, we can see that two things are happening. First of all, price failed to break and close above this resistance level. You can call this deviation, but I wouldn't really want to call this a deviation because of no candle close. Deviation is when price actually gives a false breakout, when price actually gives a complete candle close above a resistance level or complete candle close below a support level, something like this, okay? In the case of Bitcoin, you can see that this is a perfect example of deviation, because price actually gave a candle close above this 116.5k resistance level, which means that all those people who saw this breakout, they simply just got baited, and that is where they tried to take a long position. That is where they tried to build the long position. That is where they got stuck into their long positions. Same is the case with stablecoin dominance as well. You can see that there was a complete candle close below this support level, meaning that people saw this breakout or breakdown below this higher time frame support, and they were baited into taking long positions of Bitcoin, right? But in terms of others.d chart, since there was no candle close, and candle close is usually a normal requirement for you to say that this is a genuine breakout. So in terms of that, in terms of that situation, I wouldn't really call this a deviation, because if someone took a long position just because others.d only wicked above this level, then sadly speaking, they were not doing the right thing. This was not really the right thing to do because of the no candle close. Because in terms of breakout also, although I'm not mainly a breakout trader, but I know that in terms of breakout also, you need to at least wait for the candle close. And in this situation, there was not even a candle close, which means that there was no deviation on the others.d chart. Others.d is the only thing in comparison, in conjunction with, others BTC and Bitcoin dominance, which you need to look at if you wish to know what exactly is going to happen with altcoins. So in terms of others.d chart, you can see that this wasn't really a deviation, only a wick above the resistance level. But a more concerning thing, although this is something on the higher time frame chart which you can refer to as deviation. At the same time, the deviation retest has happened. Let's suppose if you are focused on, let's say, 3-day time frame chart, you can see that this is something which you would refer to as a deviation. Although I would not suggest doing so, because on the daily time frame chart, it is absolutely not a deviation. But even if it's a deviation on 3-day time frame chart, this is your deviation retest, and deviation retest, which was a successful one. But the point is that others.d is trading directly under this resistance level, right? And you need to simply just play this chart level by level. And others.d is trading right under this resistance level, and on top of that, it has this major ascending trend line. So if you are someone who is a beginner looking at this trend line, you would say that it's a good thing, price is just bouncing at this trend line, maybe I should be going long because price is bouncing at this trend line. But the reality is that the fact is that because price is bouncing at this trend line over and over again, it's a very, very concerning thing, because there is a lot of liquidity below this trend line, which means that sooner or later price is going to break impulsively below this trend line. 99% chances are that price will be breaking below this trend line very impulsively, which is not going to be good for altcoins. Okay, the only situation of survival for altcoins is if Bitcoin goes up in price, because we know that if Bitcoin goes up and others.d goes down with Bitcoin dominance also going up, this is a situation in which altcoins, they may remain relatively stable or they may not bleed a lot. But if Bitcoin starts going down with Bitcoin dominance going up and with others.d breaking below this trend line, that is going to be a disastrous situation tomorrow. And this is exactly why I'm telling you that even though Bitcoin is looking relatively better in comparison to these other charts, but still it's trading directly under resistance. And as long as something is trading directly under resistance, there is nothing really to be bullish about. Okay, obviously we are saying that one day quarterly VWAP and this and that, but still, this is something which you have to take into account. So in terms of others.d, it is not only trading directly under resistance, but at the same time it has this major ascending trend line on the higher time frame chart. And we know, our belief is that price would always break below the trend line or above the trend line sooner or later. This is a reality. This has happened almost always. 99.9% chances are that this is going to happen in the next 24 to 48 hours, because there is not enough room for price to just continue moving in this range. It has to happen in the next few hours, in the next few days. And this is exactly why you need to be cautious with any major swing long positions on altcoins. A good one could be if price goes back down to this level, 7.87%. But the best one would be if price dumps all the way down to 7.42%. But once again, that is going to be a disastrous situation for altcoins. I mean, others.d going all the way down to 7.42%, where it was trading almost back on 4th of August 2025. That would be a big thing for altcoins, and it's not looking like a good situation for altcoins, considering there is this trend line, and we all know that price would sooner or later break below this trend line. Then if we take a look at the others BTC chart also, then it has a very similar kind of trend line. But the good part is that at least others BTC has got support around 0.1340. I have been saying this thing for the past few months that the gateway to an altcoin season is this resistance level. Price has been constantly trading under this resistance since the start of the year. And once we have a break and close above this resistance level, that is when you can simply just start taking long positions on altcoins with your eyes closed. And this is, in my opinion, the gateway to an altcoin. And price at any cost needs to close a daily candle above this resistance level. This is not just, by the way, daily horizontal resistance level, but at the same time, this is also the 1-day yearly VWAP. So now you see how important all of these indicators are, how important all of these rules are, how important all of these candle closes are. You need to be patient while you are trading, right? So in this situation, a candle close above this high time frame support, high time frame resistance is the most important thing if you are looking for an altcoin season. And if you're looking for a kind of season in which you would simply just take long positions on altcoins, any single coin that you are looking at, and it would give you a huge return, then this is something that you have to wait for. You have to wait for a candle close above at least 0.1475 zone, above 0.1475 resistance level on others BTC. For those of you who don't know, others BTC is basically showing you the strength of altcoins in comparison to Bitcoin. So if price on this chart is going up, it's basically telling you that even if Bitcoin goes down in price, even if Bitcoin just continues to move in a range and others BTC is going up, then this would be extremely bullish for altcoins. And we have seen these kind of situations during the month of July as well, in which Bitcoin was just moving in the range $114,000, $118,000 range, and most altcoins, they were going up in price mainly because others BTC was going up. So this index is really important one, and this daily candle close is something that you are still looking for. And alternatively, if it goes back down to this higher time frame support, gives the retest. This is not, by the way, going to be the first retest or anything. This is just going to be a simple retest. If this retest happens, that is when we can start looking for any long positions. But the bad part is that not just others.d, but also others BTC has got this ascending trend line, which is not a good sign, which is basically telling you that there is definitely going to be volatility in the altcoin market in the next 48 hours. The only chances of survival are if Bitcoin continues to go up in price, because if Bitcoin starts going down, and Bitcoin dominance starts going up. And by the way, Bitcoin dominance has all the signs of going up. Okay, this is something which we have to be very careful about, because Bitcoin dominance has got this big daily descending trend line, same as others. BTC and others.d have got ascending trend lines, which means that a break towards downside is going to happen. Bitcoin dominance has got a descending trend line, a long descending trend line, which basically means that a break towards upside is going to happen. And this is something which I did mention during the last two updates. The updates that I've shared in the past 48 hours or so as well, that Bitcoin dominance is looking a little bit risky. At the same time, remember this thing, that Bitcoin dominance has constantly been making these lower lows and lower highs. Impulsive wave, corrective wave, impulsive wave, corrective wave, impulsive wave, corrective wave, right? Which means that if Bitcoin dominance manages to close above this resistance level, it's going to be a really bearish thing for the overall altcoin market. And on top of that, the risk is always there, because Bitcoin dominance has got, has slowly started forming this double bottom pattern as well, right? And this is a higher time frame support for Bitcoin dominance. Things would be much more visible to you on the BTC.D chart. And in terms of structure also, you can see that we have got this impulsive wave, corrective wave, impulsive wave, corrective wave, impulsive wave, corrective wave, and impulsive wave. Which means that if Bitcoin dominance manages to close a daily candle above this level, above 58.78% level on the daily time frame chart, then the whole structure on the Bitcoin dominance chart, which has been bearish since June 2025, is going to flip once again. And then you will expect Bitcoin dominance to go at least up to 59% level, which is going to be once again really bearish thing for the overall market. So this is the update in terms of altcoins. Bitcoin dominance and BTC.D, although they're moving in a downtrend as of now, but still they're looking bullish because of this descending trend line. And the only thing stopping Bitcoin dominance, in my opinion, is this yield VWAP on the daily time frame chart, right? Others BTC has got an ascending trend line. Others.D also has got this ascending trend line. Bitcoin dominance has got a descending trend line. And now you can watch this live stream later on. Slowly pause, pause the video, start taking notes, and you can understand the correlation between all of these charts. If you wish to. Once again, 70 plus people are watching this live stream. Only 41 of you have liked it. Please make sure to like the live stream. Please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're not following me over Twitter, 𝗟𝘍𝗏, this is my Twitter handle. Please make sure to give me a follow over Twitter as well, because I occasionally post calls and market updates over my Twitter account as well. If you would like to receive more organized updates and calls, you can always join in the Discord server. The link you can find in the description of this video. If you would like to have access to this indicator, one day quarterly VWAP, or any other indicators that I've created myself, you can have access to all of these indicators free. All you have to do is simply just open up a support ticket in the Discord server. And finally, if you would like to have any sort of information about the about the mentorship program, then also you can join in the Discord server. Now over to you guys. If you have any questions, please make sure to let me know in the chat box. We have two long positions open. The first one is on TWT. This one is only 1% down from entry point, and the second one is 𝗟𝑇Z. This one is also trading slightly under the entry point. If you wish to take a long position in any of these two coins, then I would recommend going with 𝗟𝑇Z, because this one is a much better coin. It's trading at the high time frame support at the 1 day 12 period exponential moving average. I'm not expecting something immediately to happen with these coins, considering that we have FOMC tomorrow. So things are going to be a little bit slow, and you would have to wait. 1 day 12 period exponential moving average is something which this coin is trading right above. And for that reason, if you wish to go, you can open a long position on any of these two altcoins at the market price. Over to you guys. If you have any questions, please make sure to drop in the chat box. Tell us about trades we should stay in now. We only have two positions open, TWT and 𝗟𝑇Z. Both of these positions are at the entry price, and if you wish to take these positions, you can do so. Is mid-May candles close above 8.31% resistance is deviation? Govind is asking. On the stablecoin dominance chart, you are asking that mid of May. So I suppose this is something which you're talking about. No, we only have data starting from 22nd of May. So because I do not have data prior to this date, so it's difficult for me to tell you if it was deviation or if it was just the first retest, because we literally have no data prior to this date. one of our members contacted TradingView and they said that they had to remove the data for some reason, and data is only available starting from 19th of May. Others.d. Okay, others.d. So on others.d, mid of May. Where is mid of May? Yeah, this is something which I already explained. At the very high time frame chart, like 3 day, 1 week, this may look like a deviation, but on the daily time frame chart, this is not a deviation because you can clearly see that price had a break above, gave the first retest, went all the way up to resistance, then gave the second retest, bounced slightly, then had a break below this level. So you had no reason to say that this was a deviation. Yes, guys, please do not forget to like the live stream. I don't know why people are too shy to do that, but yeah. I am member of the Discord. Is the last long we stick on. The last long position is on XTZ and TWT. Yes, we are sticking with both of these long positions. These are the only two long positions that we are going to go with, going into FOMC. With how much money do you recommend to join Foxy and start trading? I think uh, money is the secondary part. Even if you wish to invest in your knowledge, even if you wish to invest in your learning, then you should join the Discord server, because it's not just me. There are 10 plus other analysts also who are regularly sharing market updates, calls, and everything. Even if you're not following anyone and you are paying $60 a month just to look at these updates and everything, that would be a huge plus point for you. That is my personal opinion. um ENA long position limits, please, for alt season. Once you done with all. ENA. Okay, let me check if I have any position on this coin, because I'm being very selective right now. I'm very selective when it comes to taking positions on any of these coins. And ENA, I believe, yeah, I'm honestly not going to build any position on this, because of the fact that ENA gave a fake out above this level, then gave another fake out below this level. And I believe we would have to altogether remove this level. This is what ENA is doing, in my opinion. And for that reason, I wouldn't want to open any position on ENA. This was a level that I was looking at. Maybe if you draw it slightly differently, then you may have the desired results. But it did give a fake out, in my opinion. It did give a fake out. This was a fake out. For that reason, I'm not interested in taking any position on ENA. Yes, if you are looking to build a long position, then this was a very good opportunity. Price was moving in an uptrend. You can see that you should be able to draw the market structure. Impulsive wave, corrective wave, impulsive wave, corrective wave, and this whole is an impulsive wave, meaning that all you had to do was just take the fib level, start of impulsive wave, end of impulsive wave, take the position at 61%, 65%. That was your first opportunity. Then second one was to once again take out your fib level, draw the fib level, start of impulsive wave to the end of impulsive wave. Once again, in this situation, this is what you would do. You would draw it start of impulsive wave to the end of impulsive wave. Again, 61%, 65%, or 70.5%. That is where you would build the position, another successful one. And considering that this was a liquidity sweep, or this was a swing failure pattern, this was your short position on ENA. Short position, and you can target this resistance, this higher time frame support, or alternatively you can draw the fib level, start of impulsive wave to the new high that got formed somewhere around here, and then you can take a long position at 65%, 70.5%, place your stop loss slightly under this level, and then you can target the next all-time high, next high, next major swing high. You can reverse these levels and expect the next reaction to happen at 127% and 161.8%. But not something which I would prefer doing right now. And I guess there is a descending trend line also. Yes, there is a descending trend line as well, which makes it a very risky position. Price is almost about to break below this trend line. Do not redeem, yeah. I told you, do not redeem. How many of you have seen that video? The video of these call center scammers. Do not redeem, do not redeem. Govind is saying, I am your student. How can we confirm that the retest will be successful before getting into it? Govind, you would have to watch the second module in the mentorship program about retest, consolidation, and everything, in which I explained in detail. With retest, you cannot be 100% sure if it's going to be a successful one or not. But with experience, I'm telling you that in 99.9% cases, first retest is always the successful opportunity. Can you make an update on your open positions, swings, and spots? If you mean in my channel, in my Discord server, then yes, I would do that. Thanks, Sherlock. A few weeks ago, you had an alert set for NMR at $13 level and it pumped 70%. Thanks. Yeah, I remember that. Unfortunately, I was not able to call it officially in my channel. But yeah, it's a very common pattern that you guys would see. Burj Khalifa pattern, it's called. And you can see that the first retest, this is what I mean when I say first retests are always successful ones. And because this was a clear uptrend, all you had to do was take out your fib level, draw from the start of impulsive wave to the end of impulsive wave, and wait for the reaction at 65% or 70.5%. You can see how beautiful this is. And this was the first retest. And then it went almost 70%. Yeah. And then on top of that, you can see that this was a somewhat a deviation on the 4-hour time frame chart. No, on the 4-hour time frame chart, this wasn't exactly a deviation, but yes, this was in fact a deviation. Yes, NMR was a good position. XTZ is looking good. You can enter into this position. What is your status on LDO? LDO is now close to our entry point. We have not done any DCA into LDO. You can see that it's now back. It just got rejected once again because of this deviation, but still, I'm holding the LDO position and I'm hopeful that, sooner or later this trend line will come into play. We have not done further DCA into this position, simply just quietly holding this position on LDO. Let's see what happens, but this is a spot position. Any new positions today? Silent is asking. I don't think I'm going to give any new positions today, considering that we already have 2 long positions open. What leverage are you using on trades and what percentage of your balance do you place? No more than 3% to 5%. Leverage is a bit of a subjective thing to me. I could be using the 50x leverage and not using it properly. Remember that leverage is just to show off your percentage gains. Okay. The reality is far more different than that. And as a beginner, if you do not understand the concept of leverage, then I would recommend going with no more than 5x leverage. But if you do understand the concept of leverage, then you would always be on cross, then you would always have a stop loss in place, and then you would simply just always have 50x or 100x leverage. I mean, if you wish to, just to show off your gains, to people, you could say 100x leverage. Okay, but in reality, 100x, 5x, 2x, 3x, it doesn't really matter. Only the fact is, are you an isolated or are you on cross? If you are in cross, then it wouldn't really matter. Obviously, with higher leverage, you would have more initial margin to go with other trades. If you are an isolated, then your options are going to be very limited. How 𝗘VWAP works, show us in detail. Big fan of 𝗘VWAP. It's nothing magical, okay? 𝗘VWAP is a very simple concept. VWAP in general is volume weighted average price, a slight modification of EMA, exponential moving average. EMA only takes the average of the past few candles in terms of price, but volume weighted average price would not just take the average of price, but also the average of volume contained inside a specific time range. And this is what VWAP is doing. In terms of quarterly VWAP, it's more of a rolling VWAP, taking into account the average of price and volume for the past 3 months. This is just a small introduction of how VWAP works. Could you make an educational video on what indicators you use and how they work? The indicators that I'm normally using: 1-day 12-period exponential moving average, quarterly ELD VWAP, MTF 200 EMA, and sometimes this another badass indicator also, which is TVEM band. All of these indicators I've created myself. Rest of these indicators I've never really used. And remember that none of these indicators are going to generate buy and sell signals for you. Sooner you realize this, the better it's going to be for you. If I always place 2%, how do you think it's okay or too low? If you have $100 and you are risking $2 on every single trade, meaning 2%, and let's say you are making $2, then it may not really sound something big for you, but compounding is going to come into play very soon. I've said this almost every single time that people who have $100 in their portfolio or $1,000 in their portfolio, they're trying to make $100 or $200 or $3,000 or $2,000 every single month. People with $1,000 in their portfolio are trying to make $2,000 every single month, which is literally 100% return, right? Insane return. Remember that the most successful investor of all time, Warren Buffett, has an average return of 20 to 22% for the past 40, 50, 60 years. And you are trying to make a 100% return just in 1 month. People with $100,000 in their portfolio are not trying to make $10,000. They're happy making $4,000, $5,000, which is roughly around 4 to 5% of their portfolio. But people with $1,000 or people with $100 are trying to make $1,000. Okay, almost 10 times the amount which they have in their portfolio. And this is exactly where the problem begins. Your problem is not risk management, your problem is the portfolio amount. I'm trying to make like 10 to 30% of my portfolio per month, which is insane. Oh man, PX, this is insane. You're trying to make 10 to 30% of your portfolio every single month. Remember that the interest rates right now in the UK are somewhere around 4 to 4.5%. And you are trying to make 10 to 30% per month. They are offering 4% return for 1 year. Any successful ETF will be giving you 10 to 15% median return for 1 year, and you are trying to make 10 to 30% every single month. Now you can imagine where exactly the problem is. Sherlock, I'm working on a draft of what I am talking about in DMs. Can you check it later today when I send it? Yes, sure, I would do that. After rate cuts, I'm going shorts. Varun Sharma is saying. Well, best of luck with that. If you have reason to short, then why not? So what is your average increase on portfolio from month to month? I have never really targeted a single number. It's not like I'm targeting a specific number in terms of percentage or in terms of specific dollar amount. I simply just, take the risk. And let me tell you a very interesting thing. When you would reach a certain point in your trading journey, it wouldn't really matter how much you are risking at a certain point. I have seen all these videos, all these educational material saying that you need to follow proper discipline, you need to risk a certain amount every single time. I'm telling you that no matter what the stop loss value is, I'm always opening my position size with a certain amount. Now, this may sound ridiculous to you if you're just a beginner, just starting with your trading journey. It may be disastrous to you. I don't really journal that often. I don't really, take notes about my trading, what exactly are the mistakes that I did, or any of these things. These are just bookish things in my opinion. These things could be helpful for some people, but this any of these things have not really worked for me. And mind you, I have tried all of these things. When I was first starting with trading, I was making a journal also. I was noting down entries, exits, my thoughts about a certain trade, almost each one of these things. I was backtesting also. Backtesting is still, in fact, a very important part of my trading strategy and everything. But I don't really find any of that useful right now. The place where I am in my trading journey, the point where I'm in my trading journey, I do not really find any of these things useful anymore. This is just a personal opinion. And I believe that this is just a way to sell people. This is just a way to tell people that, you should be watching this video because I'm going to tell you a secret in which I would tell you how to make your notes, how to journal all of these entries, exits, and everything. This is the way that you can be successful. It's all in your mind, in my opinion. Once you get comfortable with all of these things, it just becomes a routine task to you. You wouldn't really have, yes, I note down the amount that I'm making on every single trade. Yes, I definitely note that down. so that I just keep track of what exactly I'm doing in my trading journey. But apart from that, I don't remember noting down anything else other than that. Do you still do poets? What does that mean? People do not realize if they stick with BTC and ETH for shorts and longs, making money is not hard. Okay. Silent is saying, did you ever take funds from investors to trade, or are you only self-funded? No, I've never really done that. Even with prop firms also, I have tried one or two prop firms, but that was just a personal experience with Breakout and this another prop firm. Apart from that, I have never really enjoyed trading on prop firms. And the investor thing, no, that is a big no-no, because in our space, taking money from other people and trading for them is not considered the right thing. And secondly, if you are handing over your money to someone else to trade for you, that is a big red flag. I mean, I would not recommend doing so. Do not trust anyone in this space, not even me, with your money. What do you think of Injective and XLM? Stellar and Injective. Let's start with Injective. Did not you used to make poets back in the day and be interested in literature? Oh, yes, I'm still interested in literature. You mean writing? Yes, this is still which I like doing. Okay, regarding Injective, you can see that it's trading below this higher time frame resistance. So until and unless price reclaims this resistance level, I'm not interested in taking any position on this. And remember that it just had a break below this higher time frame trend line, and the first retest of this resistance has not happened so far, which means that most likely price will give the first retest at this resistance level, which will definitely give some sort of reaction, some sort of rejection here. And then you can expect the price to go back up and give some sort of a reaction. But that's a very, a thought which I don't think is going to materialize anytime in the near future. When are you going to start copy trading on your Discord? We are not planning to start it anytime soon. I'm part of the Discord premium. Should we still open VANRY and init trades? Both trades have been closed. Stop loss was moved to break even. You can go with XTZ and TWT, but not with the ones that you mentioned. Both of these trades had stop loss at break even. Regarding Ethereum, this is the entry that I'm planning. Although we still have the limits placed at 4,000, we still have a long position and spot position open. But if I have to take an extra long position, a risky long position, then this is an entry that I'm planning. 4378. Joe USDT. Okay. Hey Sherlock, I will become your student from next month. I plan to start with $10,000. Is that 10 or 10,000? Is that a good idea? I mean, if you can afford to invest $10,000, then yes, but make sure that you are learning first. You are not just blindly investing into any of these projects. Make sure that you're doing it very carefully. And I would say, yeah, 10,000. I would say that first you need to watch at least 40 to 50 videos in the mentorship program. Just gain a better understanding of the complete trading strategy, and then you should be practicing with it in the live market conditions. Start with a small amount, maybe $1,000, $2,000, and then slowly start scaling all the way up to $10,000. Joe USDT. How much do you think is possible to make percentage of my portfolio per month? It largely depends on the market conditions, but I would say that it's not difficult to make 8 to 10%. Ideally speaking, anything between 5 to 10% is perfect. Anything more than that is a huge thing. Remember that we're talking about monthly returns, not even annual returns. 5 to 10% ideal range. Anything more than 10% is a perfect range. Joe USDT. Let's go to the daily time frame chart, and on the daily time frame, yeah, it has this descending trend line that we can draw. In fact, we can extend this also, but let's just draw it from this point. There is your higher time frame support. You can consider this deviation also. You can call it deviation or whatever. And then this is your resistance. No, I would not recommend taking any long right now on this coin. Although there has been a structure flip here. This was your structure flip, meaning that this was a good long position. That is the only opportunity I see which has materialized so far. This liquidity sweep. That was a good long position. You can see a good risk to reward ratio here. Almost a 6.85 risk to reward ratio. Apart from that, I don't really think this was, if this was deviation, this was another good long opportunity at the time of deviation retest. Stops below deviation. So yeah, that was another good long opportunity. Apart from that, I don't really think there is any other long opportunity for now. Yeah, and structure is also bearish. This is impulsive wave, this is corrective wave, and after this wick below this level, this is whole just one impulsive wave. Which means that this is your major swing high, this is your major swing low, until and unless price gives a break and close above 26 cents. Nothing really is going to happen. Structure is not going to shift. So for that reason, I would say, we just avoid this coin. Can you please check XMR? It is first retest of resistance. XMR. Monero. This was the first retest of support. Apart from that first retest of resistance, I don't really think. This was the first retest of resistance. First retest of resistance was already a successful one. You can see that this was the first. That's how beautiful the retests are. First retest of support, first retest of resistance, both successful ones. And now this is going to be the first retest of support. So if you're planning to take a long, this is the region which you should be looking at. There is no trend line, I suppose. Yeah, this trend line. Trendline breakout, first retest. Let's set an alert around 297. This is a good long opportunity. Can you look at link, please? This is still our entry for link at $20.21, and I'm still sticking with this entry point. Sooner or later, in my opinion, price would go back down to retest 20.212. Okay, this is where we already have placed the entry. I guess the entry was placed back on 9th of August. It's been 1 month already. So this is the place where the retest will happen. This is going to be the first retest, and that is where I have placed the limits. Simple. ZBCN. All right, so we have a small trend line and the breakout above is possible. But if you consider this as deviation, a small deviation, Although not a very good example of deviation, but still, this is a good opportunity to build a long. Place your stops right under this low and then target the next region ahead. Apart from that, price is still moving in an uptrend. Nothing really has changed. So this is a good opportunity if price gives a retest. If another retest of this level happens, apart from that, I would not recommend chasing the price into this trend line breakout. I would recommend waiting for price to maybe give an entry down to this level and place your stop loss right under this level. What do you think about us launching, about us or US? About us launching stablecoin or about US launching stablecoin? Varun Sharma. I used to wonder of 𝗬𝗏𝗵𝘵 was and used to read all reasoning, especially that 𝗬𝗏𝗵. Well, I explained in detail what a quarterly VWAP is. If you wish to know more about it, you can join the Discord server and click the link in the description of this video. What do you think about the current positions in 𝗍TZ and TWT? Both positions are open. I already have said that both positions are open, and you can go with 𝗍TZ, which is looking much better in comparison to TWT. Brian Armstrong is asking, can you please tell the difference between SFP, swing failure pattern, and deviation pattern? There is a huge difference. This is something which you would refer to as a deviation. Remember that this is a deviation, but this is not a swing failure pattern. There is no need to call it a swing failure pattern. Swing failure pattern will be if price gives a wick like this. If there is a wick like this, and then at some point in time, let me show you on the Bitcoin chart. That would be a much better example in my opinion. Yeah, so this is something which you will call a swing failure pattern. This was the last wick and price only wicked above this level. Okay, this is something which you would call a swing failure pattern, but this is not a deviation. For deviation, you need to have a proper support or resistance level. USA launching stablecoin. I have not read about that, so I have no knowledge about this. US launching a stablecoin, I don't know anything about that. The last time I looked at the things, Tether was announcing to launch a new stablecoin. They already have a stablecoin, but I don't know. They were announcing launching a new stablecoin or something like that. Okay, guys, that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream. I would try my best to do another one tomorrow, uh, during FOMC meeting. Uh, and that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream. I hope you guys enjoyed the content overall. Please make sure to like the live stream. Please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not already done that. If you are not following me over Twitter, 𝗟𝘍𝗏𝗵𝘆, this is my Twitter handle. Please make sure to follow me on Twitter. I occasionally share market updates and calls over my Twitter account. And finally, if you would like to receive more organized updates and calls, then you can join in the Discord server. Link you can find in the description of this video. If you would like to have access to the script of this indicator, or if you would like to join the mentorship program, then again you need to join the Discord server and open up a support ticket. Yes, we need 𝗟𝘍𝗏 tomorrow. Okay, then I would try my best to do another live stream during FOMC meeting. We are going to witness it live. I think we already did that almost a year ago. Back in September 2024 was the last time when we did the live stream during FOMC. So yeah, we'll do that. Let's do it tomorrow. So see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Have a great day ahead. Thank you.